Hey everybody, and welcome to this week's Let's Talk About It. As you can tell, I am not Kevin or Carla, and I have two special guests with me here today. We decided that we wanted to do something exciting, because I think this is going to be exciting. Pastor Kevin and my wife Carla are in Memphis, Tennessee right now, leading and being a part of a mission trip with our youth here at In Focus. And so today I have the privilege of being able to facilitate this version of Let's Talk About It. And with me today on this one is Cam and Thomas. And I'm going to let them kind of introduce themselves a little bit, talk about who they are, your name, kind of, some information about yourself. And then we're going to get into just really talking about being a part of this church and on staff and things that maybe you never even dreamt that you'd be doing. And I want to remind everybody as we're watching that this type of conversation that we're having with each other is meant for you to have conversations, not so much with us, but with yourself and with other people in your life. Hopefully this will generate some things to talk about, to think about, and ponder. So let's start with you, Cam. If you just introduce yourself kind of formally, and then we'll go to Thomas.
Okay. Well, my name's Cameron Bell. I'm the technical assistant here at In Focus Church.
All right, so this is Cam, and now Thomas.
Well, I'm the facilities assistant here, and just like Cam, I'm here pretty often. Our jobs do look different, though. I mean, I'm setting up for events, whether it be like the arena, the collective, worship nights, anything like you name it, or just a regular Sunday morning, setting up in the auditorium, stuff like that. Cleaning up here and there, just really, like my title says, facilities assistant,
right.
Just taking care of the facility.
And we're grateful, and so is Pastor Robert.
Yeah.
And now, age, how old are you guys? Everybody knows that?
I'm 18.
21.
All right, 18, 21, in school right now?
Yes, sir.
I am.
Both of you?
For
and
now.
You're at?
Actually, we both go to AU.
Yes, we do.
All right.
For now.
Shout out to AU.
See, it's been such a weird semester that I've barely been on campus, so I forget that sometimes I go to AU.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm all online.
So that means y'all can spend more time here.
Yeah.
And y'all have. So good. All right. Well, now both of you all started as interns here at In Focus. And so I want you to maybe describe a little bit about, your internship, what you liked about it. I wrote some things down, some of the things you experienced in that and how it kind of led you to this. And what I mean by that is, how did you get into the internship? And now it led to you being on staff. Now, full disclosure, I've known Cam pretty much Third grade, yeah. So obviously not nearly as well as I know you now, but went to school with my two oldest boys and kind of grew up at the same schools. Thomas is a little bit newer to me and just met within the last couple of years. So that's just a little bit of background as far as our relationships go and our context. But the internship, how did that come about and how did it lead you to this point?
Well, I was already volunteering here full-time once school closed down because of COVID. Because Caleb Gerard texted Josh in the beginning of the year saying, I have a production, volunteer for you. And I just kind of jumped into it. And I was up here a lot. And I loved it. And I started my internship early. So it was great.
Good. Yeah, I remember actually you being at our house. And I think Caleb and Josiah or whatever saying, hey, come to rehearsal with us for the worship team.
Yeah.
And just to see what we do.
Right.
And it was like, that was it.
Yeah.
You were done, and you were, from that point forward, you were here every Sunday.
Every single Sunday, every event.
Yeah, that was like, wait a minute now. What did y'all just do to me? All right, Thomas, how about you? How did you get involved with the internship?
So, my story, like you said earlier, it's a little bit different. So the way I got to In Focus in the first place is through Mark Maldonado.
Our campus mission, one of our campus ministers.
Yep. Who's my best friend now. Just really all it was, me and him, we go to AU, and, we had a basketball class last year, just about the same time as we are right now, a year ago. And we just, grew a little bit in our relationship, and then, I ended up coming to In Focus, just starting to come more often, being a part of small group, a part of ENC. And I think that, earlier in this year, I came to a point where I realized that it was time to grow. And I think that, Mark could obviously see that too. And, when I look back at how I became an intern, I know that he probably played a big part in that, kind of since he's been here.
Yeah.
He probably put in good words for me, told Pastor Robert and told you probably just about me and what he knew about me. And I know that probably played a big part in me being here.
Yeah.
And so,
because I was like, Thomas who?
Yeah.
Thomas Lawless. I'm like, okay, I still don't know who that is. And I was actually out of town on like a little bit of a break. And I came back. Now, after you guys, the internship was going on, I left at the backside of that.
Right.
And so if we fast forward a little bit, the internship's drawn to a close, and I get this kind of notification from our executive director and other staff that, we would like to hire some of these interns on now to staff. And I'm like, how many? And who? It's like, well, Cam's one of them, and Josiah's one of them, and Thomas is one of them. I'm like, all right. But then, yeah, of course it was Josh, who's the executive director, and then was kind of your supervisor for the internship, and then Robert, and also Mark, but Robert being your supervisor for your internship, Kevin being Josiah's, and everybody. Of course, I knew Josiah, obviously, being my son, but everybody just speaking well of you all and going, yeah, I think this is going to be a great fit for our church. And I was like super excited, and I am. I'm thrilled every day when I think about you guys being here. So what's it like being a part of In Focus church staff, particularly as we continue to be a multi-generational, because you guys are young, y'all fit that bill, and a multi-ethnic church, which you also have kind of been a part of that paradigm shift as it relates to our staff. So what's it been like being a part of the staff, particularly in this type of church?
It's great. It really is. I genuinely love everyone that I work with. We're so loving. Like, it's like a family now. I have a second family.
Yeah, that's good. And I mean, you may say the same thing, because I'd not to put words in your mouth, but I remember distinctly like one of your first staff meetings that we dismissed you all, but you also got to share. And maybe you could kind of wrap that into what you're talking about as it relates to how you relate to the staff.
Yeah, I remember that meeting very clearly. Like, whenever we were about to leave, and I just got up, and I was just kind of like, I love being here, and love just the fact that, y'all have took me in and really, taken great care of me and shown me a lot of good things. Like, I sit back sometimes and I think, like, man, ever since I've been working here, it's almost as if I learn something every single day, whether it be like from you or from Cam or Caleb and Zach and just everybody. Don't
forget Pastor Robert.
I'm going to get to Pastor Robert.
Okay.
I'm saving special stuff for Pastor Robert.
I got you.
But, I mean, yeah, it's just being here, it feels right. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I come in and I know that the people here love me and they want to see me grow. And I'm just happy to see that everything that In Focus Church is doing, like the direction we're heading, is all biblical. Because that's what heaven's looking like. That's what it's called to be, multi-ethnic, multi-generational. And I'm glad that In Focus Church is really following God's plan by doing what we're called to do.
That's great. Yeah, so let's go down that line a little bit, because part of me saying what's it like being on staff could be a little bit different than what's it like being a part of the church as a whole, because it's kind of like, you've got your nuclear family, then you've got your extended family, and then you got like a family reunion where we're related. It's like, okay, that's my weird cousin over there or something. and we're not saying that any of you in the church are the weird cousins, but we're saying that it's you have the relationships in a lot of these relationships here that are close knit daily, and then these others that are a little more extended. But we're all a part of the same church, all a part of the same family. So, how has the current cultural climate that we're in right now, and we'll talk a little bit more about the church, but personally, how has this current cultural climate that we've been in since, at least I would say since George Floyd, how has that had an impact on you, and also in this world that you're in right now, the direction that God has brought you and placed you here?
Personally, the current cultural climate is disheartening. It's sad, and it does affect me every day. Imagine growing up reading headlines that say black woman, or in my case, black man or young black man killed, and it's racially motivated. Mm-hmm. Or even now, in modern days, we can see the video of a young black man running for his life in the street because he's being ambushed, and he's shot and killed like a dog. Mm-hmm. And so, yes, this affects how I live day to day. I have to be careful with everything that I do. This is why when I was growing up, learning how to drive, my family would always say, Cam, keep your hands on the steering wheel. Don't make any sudden movements, because they don't want me to be in that situation. And so now what I do, I keep my license, my registration, and insurance near the cup holder, because I don't want to have to dig for anything. Mm-hmm. Or another example would be me making sure that I hold the receipt in my hand as I'm walking out of the store, so that no one asks to check my bag. And that these things happen all the time. It's my life. And I'm black. It's something I have to deal with, but
you are?
It's something I have to deal with. And I think what upsets me the most is when people say, oh, it's not about race. It's not always about race. But why are you trying so hard to discredit and invalidate someone else's personal experience and feelings? This is the time you should be trying to learn and listen and understand where this person's coming from, understand where I'm coming from, because it happens. It's real. Yeah. And so I think pride gets in the way of a lot of these issues. It's a lot of pride.
Yeah, and that's a good point. And I think one that, no matter what you think or feel about maybe even something that you're saying right now, somebody's watching and going, oh, there that goes again, or something. There's that narrative again. But what I would encourage people to do in that moment, in that feeling, is, well, first of all, why do you feel that way? And secondly, then to sit down with someone, say, like you, and say, well, why do you feel that way? Help me understand what you talk about in growing up and how you felt this or that or the other. That's where the empathy comes in. That's just where the understanding comes in. We don't even have to fully agree all the time about every little thing, but we can at least see someone else as another human being with their own experience that I can at least hear and have some kind of understanding of where they're coming from. Here's how I view this, and you've spent a lot of time at our house, and we've had conversations. You've had conversations with Carla and all of us, and we're like family. But if we don't take the time to listen and to know somebody, then we don't really care about them. We don't love them. Or even to hear about someone's history, or to even learn about our own history in our nation, in our world, for certain people. If you don't care about those things and how they've shaped and formed that person, then you don't really love that person. That'd be like me looking at Miss Carla going, the first day I met, well, I don't care how you grew up. I don't care about your mom and your daddy and all that stuff. Let's start right in here, new. We wouldn't be where we are today. I assure you, she'd have left me a long time ago. But so, what about you, Thomas? How's it affected this current culture? How's it affected you?
And probably just gonna echo a lot of what Cam just said. Just for me, there's bits of frustration sometimes, but I'm glad that God is here to help me through that. Because with that frustration, I've also gained understanding. To add something about me. So as I go to Augusta University, I'm a major in psychology.
Okay.
And also minor in sociology. And taking those classes at the same time has taught me a lot of things. And with sociology, the thing that I've been learning about a lot is prejudice.
Mm-hmm.
And when we look at prejudice, that is basically, it's not even just a race thing. It's all things. Like prejudice is basically a preconceived opinion about someone or something without actually experiencing whatever it is that you're prejudiced against. And, you know, when I look at the way our world is today, I feel like I have an understanding of why. And it's because of when we look at how society was first built, I mean, there are so many things that it was built on. It was built on racism and things like that, and inequality. Mm-hmm. And I mean, when you look at the fact that, you know, even women, they couldn't vote for a while. You know what I mean? Just stuff like that. There's inequality. There's just all types of things. And when you fast forward to where we are now, of course, there's going to be conflict and there's going to be problems all over our world.
Right.
And, you know, for me, like, yeah, now I have an understanding of why these things are happening. But I think that, like I said earlier, I'm glad that, you know, God is here to help us through all of these things. And that's one thing I've learned, too, is that God, if he's going to be Lord over our lives, he's Lord over everything. And so he's going to help us through everything. And that means if people require justice, like people who are oppressed, like they require justice. People who don't have the same opportunity as other people, God is here to equip them and to give them the chance that they deserve. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, that's his love. Him loving us and, you know, just really picking us up when we're down. Yeah. I mean, that's ultimately God's love. So, like, that's with good. The current climate, yeah, it's definitely frustrating. I won't act like life is just easy and that is something that's easy to deal with. It's hard every day, especially like Ken was saying, like, you know, in our skin, it can be hard. Yeah. But that's what God's here for, you know, to really help us do that.
Yeah. But I think it's important, you know, that's why as, you know, church members, as staff, as young men in this church, minority, that people just hear your heart, you know, that this is a little bit of, you know, hey, if you haven't sat down with Cam or Thomas before and had a conversation, in a way, you are right now via video, but you could, you know, and I'm not like, it's like you're not supposed to be Google for everybody and do, you know, well, like, just like I'm not an expert in all things history. Some people think just because, well, tell me about Black history. Like, well, wait a minute now. You can do some research too. You can read some books too, which I have done, and you all are. I'm giving you books now to read and stuff like that. So we're growing together. But that is the point, that in Christ we are to grow together. And just to piggyback a little bit on what Thomas was saying, it's the church's responsibility to create that environment and that atmosphere where we can do this together. Yep. So I'll kind of take this question a little bit further. Have you experienced any challenges being a part of a predominantly white church, which is what we are?
I think the current cultural climate adds some type of tension, especially when you're looking on social media and seeing people post things and you're like, oh, is this how you feel? Is this the way you're thinking? Yeah. So I think there's a lot of that going on now, but I can't really think of anything else.
Right. Like you see something on Facebook and then the next day you're like working with
Good
or
morning.
walking with and these people that you're a spiritual family with. And you're right, it does. It causes this tension. It's like, so are we going to address the elephant in the room? Or are we just going to smile and go, you know, I saw your Facebook post last night. Love you.
I see all of them.
Anything from you on that?
That definitely.
If you hear that noise in the background, I don't know if they pick that up. It's not a animal or something like that. It's just what we need to tell our facilities guy. There's something out there, man, that's making some noise. We need to get rid of that.
Not me, somebody else.
We'll tell Pastor Robert right now. All right, sorry, go ahead.
Definitely, like I mentioned earlier with prejudice, like I said, it affects all of us. So even me, like sometimes I may come in and like as a black man, you know, being around people that may not look like me, I think that for all humans, like we all strive to be comfortable. I think you even preached a sermon about that a few months ago, like how we strive to be comfortable. But life isn't always going to be comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, for me, it's been something that I've had to battle with, like trying to get out of my comfort zone. Because I think that when, you keep striving to just be comfortable, it's going to be hard to be in a church like this, to be who God's called you to be, because God is calling us to preach the gospel to everybody. It doesn't matter, the color of their skin or anything like that. It's for everybody. And the thing for me, I think that God is really trying to work into me and others is that, like you've been saying, it takes so much humility. That's what it takes first and foremost, to really realize that, at the end of the day, it's not about me. And for everybody else, it's not about them. It's not about any of us. It's about God. It's about, Him reigning supreme over all of us, and for Him to be Lord of all our lives. Mm-hmm. And for us to really get into that, we have to first start with humility. And with that will come understanding, being able to listen to each other. Because I feel like that's very important too. In order for that tension, like you mentioned, to be calmed, we just got to start talking to each other. We got to be able to sit down and really take the time to not just talk, but listen to each other. Yeah. Because there's so many, in a multi-ethnic church, in a multi-generational church, not everybody's thinking the same. Not everybody has the same background. Not everybody's the same. And so you have to sit down and listen to each other. You have to.
So it's like you're asking, why do you feel that way? Or why did you vote that way? Or why, and you don't demonize somebody for it. You listen.
Yeah.
And I think that's super insightful. And I think it's also really good that you both kind of mentioned the tension, because when you are in a predominantly white world, like I have been a lot of my life, and it's the majority, if you will, most of the time, you don't really know what it feels like to be the minority unless you step into a situation where you are, which you guys, in essence, do pretty much every day. So I was, in that conversation, it would be, if we flip the script a little bit, then it would be like me going to like your grandma's church, right? I step into there, I will feel a little bit just from your, it's not bad, it's just uncomfortable because nobody looks like me. And if somebody wants to know, if they really, really want to know, then I would say, well, then put yourself into that type of situation. It's like a lot of things I've read as a pastor. It's like, instead of going to this conference, go to this conference, and you be the only white person at this conference. Like, I've never done that, but I've thought about it now, just to get a perspective. Mm-hmm. And your perspective will then give you some understanding. It'll give you a little bit ability to listen, and then also just love better.
What Ms. Carla say? Proximity
changes perspective.
I knew it. I was just playing.
Oh, okay. Man, don't be playing around like that. All right, so let's kind of close this out. I have no idea where we are on our time right now because Caleb closed the timer. But and that could be bad. That meant like y'all have blown this out of the water. So, what have been some of your greatest enjoyments, takeaways from being a part of this spiritual family? Like personal relationships, things you've learned, people that you love. I think this would be a great way to just kind of end this time so that people can understand, in my opinion, what it looks like for us to do what God's called us to do well.
You want rock, paper, scissors? No. I have a lot of great takeaways. I won't say all of them, but I will say some of the most important ones, I guess. First and foremost, as you mentioned earlier, working with Pastor Robert has been life-changing, because I don't just learn how to be handy with tools and things like that, or how to build things, but alongside of that, working with him every day, and just working here in general, but being with him, I've learned so many things, just how to serve, mm-hmm. and not just serve, but to have a loving attitude with it, and to come in and really, when everybody that I see that comes into this church, I look at them through a godly lens. This is a person that I want to serve. This is a person that I want to really show God's love to. And I mean, just working here, just seeing the way Pastor Robert just works with such care and just care for his church, that's been something that's been really great to learn.
That's awesome.
I will say too that since I've been here, God has shown his power in just so many areas. Like, this summer when I didn't have a car, and Kyle and Tara Williams blessed me with a car, a Tahoe, a free car. And, that right there, I mean, I will never forget that, because when do you ever see somebody get a free car?
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't happen to everybody. And
Price is Right.
well, I ain't on that stuff, so I ain't forgetting. Yeah, but the thing is, like, when I was in that situation, I mean, you can ask Mark. I mean, just seeing the way I reacted at first, just having so much stress and anxiety about that situation, because this is a whole car we're talking about that I needed, and God really showed me that He works in every area of our life. Like,
that's right.
He knows us so well. He knows every hair on our head. Like, He knows everything about us, and that means He knows everything that we need.
Yeah.
And so, of course, like, maybe I didn't get the car when I wanted and stuff like that, but it was in God's timing.
Yeah.
And through that, I realized just how great God is and just how much He cares about us, truly,
Right.
to the fact that He knows everything that goes on in our lives, and He works in our lives. Like you said this Sunday, even if we're faithless, He's still faithful to us.
That's
and
good.
That's been just something that I haven't forgotten. I probably will never forget.
Yeah, that's great. Cam?
I would say I've met a lot of people just through serving and being at every event. It's has some, good things, being at everything.
Yeah.
Good things have come out of me having to be at every event. And I would just say that my relationships are great. Like, I really appreciate everybody that I know.
Mm-hmm.
And I love them.
Well, that is super kind. I guess we can end on that super kind note that Cam loves everybody that he has met. I mean, I
love y'all too.
So does Thomas, and so do I. I mean, with the love of Christ,
shouldn't we?
We should. Wow, that is true. This is how we should, as Christians, we should love one another, and that's not cliche. That is true. I said it this Sunday as well. How can you say you love God and you have hatred in your heart towards your brother in Christ or sister in Christ? So, I know we were laughing a little bit, but that is exactly how we're supposed to live. So I appreciate you guys taking the time, being honest in front of the camera. We hope that this has been encouraging to you. Obviously, this is a different setup for Let's Talk About It than normal, but we do want Let's Talk About It to inspire you to have conversations that maybe you wouldn't have before, uncomfortable conversations maybe you wouldn't have before, with people that don't look like you, and people that you could have it with people that is in your spiritual family. And so I encourage you to do that, and God will help us. God's doing great things, and I'll say this, you guys are kind of a part of what I see God doing, and that we have prayed for and preached and lived for the last 15 years, which is to be a diverse community living in unity with what, like this thing says, a beautiful community, right? That you're a part of that, and I believe you will be. And then also investing and sowing seeds that's going to help us to continue grow in being a diverse community that is unified in the love of Christ. So thank you for being a part of Let's Talk About It. And if you need to contact us, you can through an email, and we hope to see you back here next week.